Ladies, welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. Okay, a backstory on this. I obsess about your store and we'll get into that, but I have been bugging Joe to do this, like literally DMing. I've been DMing you guys because I wanted you on this podcast so bad. So thank you for making time because it's the middle of the afternoon and you are in your retail space. So I'm really appreciative of you being here.
Yeah, pleasure.
Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody so also everyone can understand whose voice is who? And also give your job title.
I'm Carole. I'm retail manager, the buyer, and that's really it.
I'm Erica. I'm also retail manager. I've been here for 11 years.
Wow.
So Carole started with us, and so obviously she does most of the buying, but I've learned so much from her. I obviously don't enter into the buying like she does. But I do purchase some of the stuff like the retail store.
Okay.
And I've been here for just over 8 years.
That was what I was going to say. So you started, how old were you when you started?
I was probably 22.
Okay. And you've been there?
No, 21.
11 years?
11, yeah.
And Carole, how old were you, if you don't mind?
I was old enough to know better. Slow me down. So yeah, 8.5 years I've been here.
Your store is called The Thumb. It is one of these retail locations that I feel like retail can be very boring, and the scope of retail and how it's changing and how it's evolving and what's becoming important as far as interactive and this and that. You guys were already doing that way before. And I know I can explain the store, but I want you guys to explain the full scope so everyone has a clear understanding of just how many elements are involved in this retail establishment.
First of all, we're in North Scottsdale, Arizona. So North Scottsdale, we're right up against the McDowell Mountains. We're kind of a unique situation. A lot of residential around us. Right behind us is an event center called Westworld, where they hold Barrett Jackson or the Arabian horse shows, a lot of events like that. So that's perfect for us. We have an ice den right next to us. So otherwise residential. What else have we got around us?
Climbing gym. Yeah, we have a little bit of everything. I'm sorry, I didn't even know.
No, and then when it comes to the store, we're based, we originally set up as a gas station, a high-end car wash, detailing bay we have. There is a bakery, in-house bakery. We do wine, we do all the drinks, all that type of stuff. And then we take over probably 75% of the space for retail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So don't forget the barbecue, because the barbecue is hands down one of my, I had that brisket on hash brown with an egg on top. Oh my God, to die. I don't know how you aren't 400 pounds. With the full bakery there and the food and everything that you offer, I would be a house.
We do a lot of running around. We do have a lot of stairs to get up and down to our stockroom. So that keeps us pretty busy through the day.
So you both take care of and oversee the gift portion. And I've said this a lot. It takes a lot to what I say gobsmack me, because this is a word that came from Glenn Sank, who used to be the president of anthropology. And he always used to say, I want to be gobsmacked when I come into the store. So that was always kind of our marker of really what we were going to do, how we were going to do the design, how we're going to do the display. It was always to gobsmack. And because I've been in retail my entire life, and because I'm involved in the wholesale, so I see both ends of it, it takes a lot to gobsmack me. And I will be honest, your space, your merchandising, your curation, the whole business as a whole, but your gifts, it gobsmack me. And that takes a lot. And considering it's a quote car wash barbecue, I am blown. Your fixturing alone. It's completely is not what you typically see in a gas station or whatnot. So tell me about how you, when you both got to the store, when you got to the store, Erica, what was the gift portion as big as it is now, or did it kind of evolve?
Yeah, it did. So before Carole started, I believe so I started with the gift department, about probably 10 years, because it was established about a year and a half before Carole started. And it was kind of like an idea. So it used to be a fresh market. So they started off with produce and like fresh flowers and stuff like that. But they quickly found out that it's not the place, because people are not going to come here and get like bananas and apples and oranges, and fresh flowers, because that's just not how it is in a gas station per se. So they kind of started to do like this idea of bringing in a couple of gifts, like a little bit of jewelry, a little bit of like random cups and mugs and stuff like that. And they just started like an idea. A different person, I don't remember her name, came in to help out, to just bring a bunch of gift items. And then we had a different person here to display it, but it wasn't like a coherent, it wasn't like an idea. It was just kind of like, place it wherever you think, makes sense. And it was just to kind of get away from the produce to see how gifts would do. And it ended up, sticking. It ended up doing good. And we got a permanent buyer who came from AJ's.
AJ's.
So she worked a little bit on that. Yeah. And it was a lot of like AJ looking things.
What is AJ? Just so everyone knows what an AJ is.
AJ's is a grocery store, kind of like a high-end grocery store. Yeah. Yeah.
They're a grocery store, run business.
Yeah. And they have kind of like all their stores look a little bit the same. Like they have like the same product. And so she brought that here. So she was with us for about a year. And then Carole started, and it just became magic. Like she just has an eye for everything and displaying and just putting things together that makes sense. And it evolved ever since Carole started. I want to say it probably picked up pretty quickly. Like the gift department became a big part of the store. Yeah, the barbecue is what we're known for, but she created this huge gift department since when she started,
I mean, do you know the square footage of it? What was the square footage or amount, the space, Carole, when you came on? And then what is it about now? I know you said 75%.
Space probably about the same, maybe a tiny bit more.
Probably, yeah, more now. So because we lost, probably when you were, it was like about 6,000. Yeah. And now it's about 80, I want to say
85.
About 8,500, yeah.
Wow, that's big. I mean, it's what I like, and I've always talked about floor planning, is that you depending on what side you come in, the car wash side, or we entered on the barbecue side, but it takes you from both ends and goes all the way through where there's, and it's also curated. So you've got a men's department, you've got the babies, you've got cards, you've got, your floor plan really kind of follows it from one section to another section. Carole, what was your background prior to starting with the thumb?
Realistically, good old fashioned. I don't even know if they use the word anymore. So from the age of 15 was window dressing. So I don't even know if they use that phrase anymore. Back in England, we still use it. So window dressing in London. And then it evolved into photography, room set styling, that type of thing. And then again, when retail has always been in my background. So photography, anything like that, anything visual has always been there.
Had you done buying prior to stepping into the store?
No, my place I was with before, which literally was like a block down the road, I was probably with them for 11 years, but all I did was the visuals and the floor work, but I didn't do any buying.
All I did. That's a lot.
Yeah. So, so I didn't do any buying. So coming here, I knew most of the products. I knew some of the buyers or some of the vendors that we worked with. So it just kind of evolved from that. And then gradually I just kind of changed the look, kind of see what's out there, get something different, get a new look, working with the customers that are around here, could see where they could go, what they could get, something different. I didn't want the same as everybody else had, whether it was an AJ's or whatever. I want things that are different. We don't often buy we don't buy in a regular collection. So I won't go into a company and buy their whole collection of something. I will pull something from it and then pull something from somebody else. And then whether it's based on a color or a theme or just a look or a feel, and we'll just kind of put it together that way. So when you come in, you just don't see one company's product. And then that way you can easily move it around. Quite often we're moving the floor all the time. Every few weeks we'll change the setup. So people will come in thinking, especially through the summer, that you've got new product, but all realistically, sometimes all you're doing is just juggling the floor around and making it give a different look.
I love that you said that, because that's one of the things I don't know. Not everyone has the same belief, but in January, I always believe, don't take anything new in, just reinvent because you're going into inventory. People are getting their credit card bills. There's people that will literally fight me on the table for that. But, that's my philosophy. But I've always believed in, I call it tossing the salad, like completely changing, taking the same thing and then just reinventing what it looks like in the store. Because you nailed it on the head with, like, you have the same customers that come in all the time for their car, for breakfast, for the bakery. So you have to keep it fresh and you have to keep moving it and reinventing it. And I'm willing to bet that 9 times out of 10, you have something in one section, you've moved it all around. All of a sudden they're like, oh, is this new?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a thing where things have a three-time move chance. So if it doesn't sell in that first place that we've put it, it gets to move. And then if it doesn't sell there, it gets to move somewhere else. Third time, if it doesn't sell, maybe that's something that isn't something for our customers. So we have hot spots on our floor that we know people walk to. That's our main areas for selling. So if something needs to sell, it's a bit slower. Maybe it will work better there. Maybe it will work better at the back of the store. We set up the flow so it's not like an aisle. I believe that ladies love to get in a little nook and a cranny and go in a corner and find something that nobody else has maybe found. Yep. They don't want straight aisles, because if you do that, you walk straight to the restroom and you walk straight out again. You don't get caught with the flow of all the goodies that you could see.
Exactly. I love that you're saying this, because these are things I teach my retailers that, there's a lot of stores and they're like, we can't get them to walk around the store. And it's like, I'll go on a Zoom call with them and you can see it's just what we call the runway. It's like a runway that, and I don't think people understand that, but the human psychology of walking around, like anthropology, like, and as you do, you are directing the customer where you want them to go simply by the way you set your floor. And if you have just a giant runway, and you'll have people say, well, they need, there needs to be walkways and, wheelchairs need to get in and out. They all can get in and out. It's not blocking anything. You actually, when you have a wide open space like that, you're actually shooting yourself in your foot in order stopping traffic to go through the whole store. So I love that you said that.
You need to create roadblocks. You need to have people to stop and think and just kind of admire because people are a lot more creative than they think. They're much more visually orientated. I was brought up on window dressing, worked for 11, 12 years with the Gap on the visual team in Europe and also here.
Oh.
And it's one of those things that, people are drawn to windows and more than they realize. I love anthropology. That's one of my inspirations. I love going to anthropology. And people look at the windows and I don't think how much visually it keeps them. It's just a pleasing aesthetic. It's just, and it just kind of it's lovely. I love it. So.
You don't have windows there, correct?
No. We don't have a huge amount of wall space, which is probably our only little thing that sometimes can be frustrating because windows are nice, it draws you in, but then again, we have the food smell that draws everybody in. So
yeah. Well, so I think that your windows are stopping points and getting people's attention, but you've done that by how you set your floor and by the curation of your product. And I kind of want to go back to what you were saying about not buying too deep into some of these lines. Like we all just came off the shows. The one thing that makes me insane is when I go to a showroom and they're like, they want you to buy super deep because they want they want a footprint in your store, which is great. I mean, I think it works better in personal care than it does in gifts, but in order to do that, you can't cherry pick. And I, like you, like to cherry pick and curate something. And I would be interested in hearing how you approach the show and how, when you're when you're walking the show, how are you curating? Do you already have an idea other than the obvious? We're going into fourth quarter, holiday buys. Like, how do you approach the shows?
We look at kind of what we've sold the previous year. We have noticed over the last few years, just our clientele, our base has changed. We used to have a lot more snowbirds. That type of generation or whatever has changed slightly for us. So some of those things that we used to buy for them is not selling quite as well. So when we go to the show, we have gone a bit, we still go very heavy into Christmas, but we do buy a lot more gifts, relatable goods for fourth quarter. Sometimes I don't necessarily go in with an idea. If it visually catches me straight away, to me, it's going to catch somebody else. We always have a joke. If we like something and then we're really trying hard to make it work into the group, we then realize we're trying really too hard to try and make that fit in with something that, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? You're staring at something and going, I really like this, but is it going to work? And if we're still staring at it half an hour later, we know we probably shouldn't buy it because maybe it's going to be too much to try and fit in. So we tend to just visually, we might go on color. We know our Christmas colors, for example. We've strayed. I love like an anthropology look. Doesn't work for us. We're traditional. Greens, reds, white or creams is what our customer likes. However much we try in the other area, it doesn't work. So yeah, we go fairly deep in with Christmas. Last Christmas, we probably had the best Christmas we had. Yeah. The one good thing about us is being an independent and not being from a corporation or a big company. We can kind of direct what we want to buy. So if we were to suddenly run out of something and we want to go in a direction, we can just quickly go on the computer. We can just order something as opposed to waiting for corporate to send in the next order that they think is going to sell well. So that's always really nice for us as well.
You, when you did the shows, you guys did you do Vegas or did you do Dallas?
We did Atlanta.
Yeah.
We did Atlanta for the first time.
And how did you like? Because that's a big campus.
Yeah, I'll let Erica tell you how that went.
Okay, Erica.
It wasn't a disaster because we went in it with an open mind because everybody was saying it's the biggest show, it's the best show. We were lost. The 6 days we were there, we were lost every single day. And I am really good at
like physically lost, like just
yes. Like we couldn't find we couldn't find how to get to the second floor for some reason.
Having problems.
We had problems the whole entire time, and I think because we're so used to, we usually do Vegas. That's just our easy go-to. We know it. Yeah. We can do it in our sleep. But we wanted to bring in new stuff just because we have this thing between Carole and I. We like to beat our goal monthly and yearly. So we're like, you know what? We don't want this to be a lull. We want to like beat last year's numbers. So let's try Atlanta because it's the biggest show. Why not? Yeah, we tried our best. We found some new things. We did, but it was pretty exhausting not to know where to go.
It's a very hard space to navigate.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Well, I will tell you I opened my client Art Flow Trading was up on the 16th floor, building C, which is where Kurt Adler, all the holiday showrooms are. They moved to the new redone garden floor. Well, the way the garden floor is on a wing of this building that was added on later. So you can only get on it on certain elevator bays. And it's like, it took me, and I've been in that building since I was in my 20s. Like I know that building inside and out. For some reason, I could not, on a day-to-day for 4 days, the first 4 days of moving them, because we had to go still back and forth. Every single time, I'm like, I have no idea how to get back here. Like, I spent one day, it literally took me, and I'm not kidding you.
Sounds like us.
Some of the elevators were closed because they closed the garden floor. And it took me 2 hours to get a load of things back. And my husband was there building. He's like, where have you been? I'm like, I've literally been like on the floors going in circles trying to find my way out. But once you know it, but it is It is one of my favorite buildings to do because I feel like temporaries there. Did you do temporaries?
No, we did actually. We felt like we probably spent a lot of time in the temporaries.
Yeah.
We always try to buy a lot of stuff in the temporaries. Mm-hmm. We like those sections. We do a lot of that in Vegas, so I do like the temps.
Yeah.
They tend to have, Atlanta tends to be where if you're a new brand and this is your first show, they tend to do it at Atlanta, which I always, when I had my stores, I always found the most amazing things. And that was my favorite part, was temporaries, but it is a big campus. So I can understand how challenging it was. Tell me what your holiday looks like for this year.
Gosh, we've been unpacking it this morning.
Yeah.
Traditional colors. We do have some creams. We have some kind of taupes and earth tones. Mm-hmm. Lots of glitter trees. We do have just that splattering of mushrooms or toadstools, because that's what everybody seems to want.
I love that.
I know. What else do we have? I'm afraid we do still have gnomes. We do have a lot of people still wanting gnomes. They don't seem to be going anywhere.
Gnomes aren't going anywhere. And luckily they go kind of with the toadstools, so that they tend to work together.
Yeah, we do a lot of that type of thing. We do quite a bit of tabletop, not too much in the plates and that type of stuff. It's not really our forte. There's other people that they can go to for that. Gosh, a lot of felt. There's quite a lot of felt in the collection.
Mm-hmm.
How many Christmas sections do you have? Because when I was there, I think it was end of summer going into fall. So I think you had a football thing going for the men's section. But when you're walking through, how many groups do you have, and how do you attack what part of the store is it going to go with? Because just to give everyone a feeling of like what the store is, like where, when you come in from the bakery, take everyone through the store as far as like how you have it sectioned out, kids,
Yeah, you come in the store. As soon as you come in the store, on the right-hand side is our restaurant. And our restaurant has a big, huge chandelier hanging over in a barbecue restaurant, believe it or not. Big, huge chandelier coming over. So the restaurant is outside. Bakery is on the left. And then as soon as you walk in, there is normally a big, huge table, which is our front main section that gets used and moved around most of the time. And that's really kind of for whatever's going on at either Westward, our event center, or if it's back to school, or if it's Easter, whatever the theme is kind of going on, that will be changed out regularly with that.
That's our staple, I think, our
introduction.
Yeah, we
table.
want you to be wowed when you come in. That's like the first thing you see.
I always call that the focal, the focal table or your statement table.
Yes. Past that one is the register area. And then we have a big fish tank on the left-hand side, which was done for Animal Planet tanked program. So we had the tank.
I didn't know you guys were on that, because I knew you guys were in Guy Fieri's diners. What is it?
Dives.
Diners, dives, but I mean, I didn't realize. Wow, that's cool. That's where that came from. That's an amazing aquarium too. It's massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's dining around that area. And then you move into the main gift area. So that whole front section, which is kind of where the coffee starts and also the drink and the cooler start, we normally will have Christmas from that section probably all the way back to probably the restrooms, which will be 3/4 of the way back to the store. So Christmas takes up a lot of space. And also with Christmas, we can fit in every day. You know, you'd be surprised what you can fit in there to make it work for people to kind of see what they can work at home. It doesn't have to be just Christmas in there. So you kind of bring around.
Do you have, because I'll like for when I'm doing stores, I will have one section will be this theme, and it's mixed with every day and with, I'll be honest, I don't write a lot of holiday anymore at all, because it just stopped selling for the pharmacy. Like I had more stuff go on sale. That's why I love hearing that you guys sell so much holiday, because it was so disheartening to write holiday and mud pie and things that I love, creative co-op. And then literally year after year, it would just start to bomb and it was like, that's all we had enough of it. We were putting it away till the next year, and I was reinventing around it, or it was dumping it into sale. And I finally was like, we're not doing Christmas anymore. Like, unless it's like a couple key pieces and that's it. So when you do your holiday and you're building in every day, do you look at the store as far as like, this is our strongest statement, this is going to be in the front focal, or do you have a kids holiday, or does each of your areas have their own distinguished holiday tree, ornaments?
I don't really do Christmas tree as in Christmas ornament tree. Our ornaments, it's not my favorite thing to do. We'll have a real tree for the store that we decorate 2 weeks prior to Christmas, 2.5 weeks prior to Christmas. I don't have a big Christmas tree with all the decorations on to sell. We normally just have a few ornaments on a peg, so I don't do any of that. But otherwise, it's probably done in color theme. And then it might be done in either tabletop or whether it's not necessarily plush, but, like a expandable gnome or a moose or whatever. There'll be like a theme going on there with a sleigh and all sorts of stuff like that. So we tend to do it in a color theme more than anything else.
Yeah. I think it's more, honestly, the years I've worked with Carole, I think she creates that theme like she's talking about, but it makes it seem so simple to see something like a gnome or a reindeer and a lantern. And then you look at it and then you're like, this would look so cute in my living room. So she's so good at connecting stuff from different companies and putting it into like a whole little theme area where customers see it and they want the whole display. So I think that's why we're so successful I say Carole, because I help her a lot and I've learned a lot from her, but I think that's why we're so successful with seasonal, because she makes it look like how you would want it to look at your house or your living room or your bedroom or whatever.
I think customers need validation sometimes.
Yeah.
They like the idea.
Yeah.
They don't always have the confidence to know what to do with it. If they can see a little setup and they can imagine it at the bottom of their stairs or by their front door, and they see a little collection of it, wouldn't you want to just take it all home? It's easily done. And they set it up half an hour later, it's in their house and it's done and it looks just how they expect and they didn't have to do anything for it. So people sometimes just want that validation and confidence in their choice to make it look right for their house.
Yeah, I think sometimes people make it too complex and too, I'm probably guilty of that as well. Like, it's so elaborate or it's so layered that the customer can't see past all the other layers to that one thing that they like, or they can't even ID that that's the one thing they like about that. They just know they like the whole thing. And I'm sure it's rather overwhelming at times. How early do you start planning your holiday sets, and when do you start rolling out your holidays?
We've already put out Halloween, probably like everybody else. So Halloween went out last week. We normally start putting it out kind of towards the back of the store. We have a nice little nook that we like. The lighting's really nice. It's not too in your face for everybody because most people come in and go, oh, really, Halloween already? And it's everywhere else. So everybody, we normally say people, this is the best of the best coming out now. If you come back 4 weeks later, it's not going to be here. And then Christmas will start going out. Last year, we put it out around about the 15th of October, I think. We have a lot of regulars. We've already got our regulars calling, asking if the Christmases come in. We have quite a few who shop pretty, sometimes we'll even let them come upstairs in our mess and our stock room and they can shop upstairs. We don't mind. We have some who love doing that. Yeah. We do a lot of the lanterns, all the light up lanterns and all that type of stuff. People collect those. So, and then in between that will be Thanksgiving, which it's got a lot less over the years. It's not as big for people. Mm-hmm. So we tend to just kind of play up the colors on that and the pumpkins, and that can kind of work in between everything.
And then how do you approach, because I love asking these questions, but when it comes to end of season, when do you start? I'm going to back up. During holiday season and when it's super busy, I'm assuming you are not doing your move it around thing, or are you still doing shifts? And if you are doing shifts, when are you doing them?
We're still doing shifts, aren't we?
Yeah, we do. We still shift everything around. I think when we start pushing things forward and we start seeing things are selling very quickly, we still do the movement.
And that's the excitement. When you start seeing stuff, that's when you start getting that kind of little adrenaline rush and you're like, okay, things are moving.
Yeah.
People like what we bought is validation on what you're buying. Mm-hmm. So it gets kind of a little game and exciting. And we get in the next morning and it's like, okay, what did we sell? Look at our figures and what items sold. And it'll be like a quick fill up before everybody comes in. I do think this year we did talk about it. We probably will come in when the store is closed a bit more to do floor moves because
we're doing them during hours.
Yeah, quite often because we need to be here sometimes for staffing with everything going on. But at the same time, it gets a bit chaotic at times. So I think this year we did decide that we'll probably try and do some later in the evenings because our hours are, we stay open until 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's why I still keep my anthro hours that I did when I was doing anthro was I'll go in most of my stores between 5 and 6 in the morning. And then at least with the big overhauls I'm doing, most of the chaos and most of the piles of things have been cleaned up and it's a lot easier for customers to navigate because, I mean, Fred Siegel used to have a term, energy creates energy. And he always used to say, open your boxes in the middle of the floor. People will start coming in. And it's true. You start moving things around. And the first place everybody goes to, like, oh, is that new? Is that? And it's great because you're selling now, Allison, but it's horrible because you are trying to merchandise and you're answering customers' questions and you suddenly have to stop and wait for people to stop shopping. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Erica will tell you that I'll start moving stuff on the floor and like 3 hours later, I might have a perfect table in front of me, but behind me will be this huge kind of collection of stuff that I haven't found a home for. And she's the one who's like kind of pulling her hair out at me. So, yeah.
Okay, that's a question I want to ask because this is something that all merchandisers have. And I, when I work with Lisa from Stephen Young, there will be inevitably something where I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, it will reveal itself has become the term. And I will, because I have to deal with, like you, I think the strongest merchandisers are also the buyers because we have purchased what we know what's coming in, we know what's going to go with. I 9 times out of 10 am merchandising somebody else's buys. And inevitably there's a thing that it's like, what were you thinking? Where did we think this is going to go? I don't know. I just loved it. And it's like, okay. And I will literally do circles around the store with this one thing, trying to figure out where to put, because it's, as a merchandiser, you really don't want to look like it doesn't matter. And you also, if it doesn't go with anything, you really don't want it to wreck your display. So how do you, with that pile of things you have left, how do you tackle that?
She makes sure that I don't bring it back up to the stockroom. Yeah. I didn't bring it back up to the stockroom because mine would be like, I'll sort it out tomorrow and take it upstairs. She's like, no, it has to stay down here. So sometimes it's just going deeper into the store. And before you know it, you've merchandised 4 or 5 different tables to try and fit out everything that you've done. Sometimes you can be on a roll. Sometimes, you know yourself, sometimes that whole visual thing is just not there some days. You just haven't got that roll and your brain is not working how it should be. Yeah. But no, as opposed to the one thing that doesn't work, sometimes it'll just, sometimes I might just put it in the sale if I can't have any home for it. Just mark it down. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah. I'm not going to say what I do.
Or just a random spot. Honestly, don't get us wrong. There's been times where we've said this would do good, or I would say I think this would be really good and it won't work out. Or so it's rare when Carole says something's not going to work out, but there has been. And it's just a random thing that we just have to figure out where to put, even if it doesn't make sense in the display that we do. And then if it doesn't sell, then it just goes to the sell.
I worked for a resale company for a short period of time, furniture and everything. And I learned from that however much you think that something isn't going to sell, there's always somebody for some item. You can have the randomest thing and it will always mean something to somebody and they have to buy it. So
it will. I mean, I have learned the hard way of it will sell somebody and I hold on to it too long and I try and reinvent it. And any open to buy person will tell you, it's just like yourself, number 3, I will give it 3 really good shots of really making it. And it's at that point, it's like, it's time to cut my losses and just put it into sale. And that's equally as hard because as buyers, we are supposed to take risks and try new things because I think it's the only way you're going to know if you're introducing something new, like if you're going to have somebody catch on to that. But I don't know if you've heard the podcast I'm renowned for going down when Animal Prints came out, and it was like at Magic, which is the big apparel show. That's 90% of what most of the vendors were showing were animal prints. Well, I went so deep in animal prints, and oh my God, Newbury Park, the store that they were going to, did not appreciate the animal prints. And that was a horrible, horrible experience, but it was a good lesson. But I mean, I moved that stuff around so many times and changed it up with different tops and different whatever. And it was like, that was a very large sale section we had that year. But you have to, as a buyer, I think you have to try those things and you have to kind of do it. But 3 times is my shot now. It's like you're in and you're out. But it's very sad when you have a display that you love so much and then you're forced to put something in that you really don't like.
Yeah, no, last Christmas we found some things there was a collection that just we thought was great at the time. When it came in, quality probably wasn't up to the standard that we thought. So what we did with that, rather than hold on to it right before Christmas and sell it, we actually just started a little thing. I think we did it, do we do it every day? Yeah, we did it every day where we just did maybe 2 or 3 items at 50 off. Yeah. And we just kept it literally by the front door, and it would always be gone by the afternoon. And then the next day we would add to it. And then within probably the first month, it had all gone and we didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
do you do a big end of year sale or quarterly sales or end of season? Do you do any sales at all?
No, so we do right now. Because for us, our seasons are flipped here in Arizona. Because right now, June, July, and August are our worst times of the year, and then October all the way through to May is our busiest. So we kind of flipped around. So right now downstairs we have a little table with 50 off stuff to try and clear out, just so we have some little odds pieces. Christmas we put sale on. We don't really do any major discounts or sale promotions. No. I don't want people to think that if they wait another month, it'll go on 50 off. I don't want to fall in that trap. So what we'll do with Christmas is we will start marking it down maybe the week before. Mm-hmm. But last year, Christmas Eve, we had people shopping. We stayed open with 2 extra staff because people were coming in to buy. And by the end of that Christmas Eve, we had 1 table of sale stuff, and that was it. That's all we had left. So that was a good Christmas last year.
Yeah. I have to ask you this because I know from Anthro the answer, but is your philosophy of people waiting for the holidays that come out of Gap where people know what day the markdowns come in and they will hold off on buying something?
I'm used to that coming from the Gap. Markdowns, you come in on Tuesday, markdown starts Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm used to people doing that. I'm very conscious of not doing anything like that. I don't want people. And also, I don't know. It's just that whole, I feel like what we have is good value. I don't have anything. We don't overprice our things. For example, our Capri Blue candles, volcanoes are the same price as Anthropologie, I believe, maybe 5 cents different. We try not to do anything price hike, anything too high. So I really feel like what we have here is the value is worth the quality, or vice versa. So sale-wise, we really don't do too much. If it is, it's just something to clear the space. Mm-hmm. We've got into onesies and twosies, and we want the space for season coming in, and it's time to say goodbye to it. So
I have to ask this question because I often wonder, there are your bread and butter items, Voluspa, Capri Blue. For the items that are not, and you continue to, what's your rule on how many times you'll reorder it?
Sometimes it depends on what it actually is. Sometimes it might be a personal thing. If I'm invested in it because I really like it, and I feel like, come on, somebody else must like it besides me, I might give it one more chance. It can go a couple of times maybe, but it has to, there's a few things downstairs we've invested in that I think people should be liking, and it's like not quite hit the mark yet. Sometimes we get on things a bit too early before it's really hit everybody else's store.
Yeah.
We found things out in the temporaries that haven't hit big, and then suddenly it will hit big, and we might have already given up on it because it didn't sell well for us. And then all of a sudden it's out there, and we're like, darn it, we should have held on a bit longer. So the question to that is, we still might give it 3 times, but if it's buying into a big quantity of it, maybe a couple of times. Do you find there's a point where you've reordered it one too many times and then it just dies off? Because that's what I would have. It's like I have a rule of like 2 times, unless you foresee it becoming a quote bread and butter. But I feel like 2 or 3 times you reordered it, like your regular customer that comes in every week has already bought it, and it's like, stop the reorder, find something new and fresh. Because I think a lot of stores get into that because it's easy, just keep reordering it, and there's some point that it's going to stop selling. Yeah, no, there's a few things down there that we have stopped. Everybody else might have it, but exactly as you said, we feel like everybody in North Scottsdale, plus their family members now, have that particular bag or whatever it is. And then also what happens sometimes, the final nail on the coffin for that item is if the price goes up keeps on going up, we get to a point where like, okay, it's not worth it anymore. This is our time to say goodbye to that item. If it keeps going up a few dollars here, it's like, no, we're good.
That is, so, another question is, because obviously cost of goods is going up and continually there are price changes every single show, it seems, with some lines. Do you automatically roll that out to the customer, or do you try and save them from that and keep it at the same price and like somewhat eat basically a little profit? Or
that's a good question. Yeah, we sometimes, if it's a product that we feel for us, we know we can sell it, we'll make it fair for the customer, but we also try to cover ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really hard with prices going up. It is really hard because there's things that we like and we know that our customer is going to like, and we have to kind of figure out how we can play with it to where it's fair for the customer and it's still fair for us, but we will give it a chance.
We had that at the pharmacy with Jellycat, that, the customer, it started to go up and the pharmacy was like, we just want to keep it at the other price. I'm like, but we are losing money. And I mean, it was like, it wasn't even, I think they had it just at a straight 2.0, which, by the way, no one should be doing a straight 2.0 anyway, because your freight is somewhere in that. So, but it was getting to the point where we were losing money like every single, and I finally was like, people are still going to buy it. Like whether it's $1 or $2, or they're still going to buy it. You can't shield them from this because wherever they go, it's going to be more. And now I think PS, they mandate you keep it at the same price.
Right. Yeah. I think also that's what we tend to do, especially with Christmas right now. Christmas, we keep it a very fair price because it's a seasonal. We want it gone. We don't want it within a few months. It should be gone. So what we tend to do, if you're ordering something out of a catalog and if it turns up and it's not quite the right standard that you want, if you have one item that you could maybe add on a couple of dollars, that item might get reduced by a couple of dollars to try and even it out. We kind of play around with it that way as well.
Yeah, I think that there's a creative math, is like I like to call it. It's like where one product may be at a higher markup that will balance out what you're not making full markup on the other. Okay, and now I'm going to ask you the questions I always ask everybody, is that because you're in the industry, you see everything there is to see. Like, how do you both get inspired, and when do you find the time to get inspired?
She inspires me.
We do tend to try and just do a quick recce around the local stores to see what everybody has. Try and get some inspiration to see if we're on the right track. Mm-hmm. If there's a little missing thing. When we go to the shows, I said to her when we were at Atlanta, I said, just stop and watch what everybody else is buying. I want to see what everybody else is stopping and buying. Maybe we're missing something that is the hot thing that we're not really into the hot thing here. We don't get something that's the best seller. The amount of times that a rep will tell us, oh, this is my best seller for everybody. It won't sell for me. It's just, we're not that. We're a funky, weird barbecue joint.
I have that as well.
yeah, it doesn't work for us. So I might try it, but I know it's not going to sell. So we stop and see what everybody else is buying. I like seeing, again, stopping just at the market. I don't know. We're watching people.
Yeah, we watch people. I think also like a big inspiration, I think, when we go to other places around, like whoever's close to us to see what they're doing, it kind of gives us an idea of how different to be from them. I think that inspires when we go to the shows. We see all these different things, displays or just new stuff, and we don't want to be anywhere close to anybody around us. And we do a pretty good job. I mean, Carole does a pretty good job, but we do a pretty good job at staying pretty different from everybody else. And I
think it gives us when we go and look around, it gives us validation that maybe we're doing a good, okay job. Because what happens is when you're doing this, there's really nobody else to bounce off ideas off of. Yeah, just bouncing it off of each other.
Yeah.
We're there again, not being a corporate company. I don't have visuals to work by. I don't have plans. I don't have all that type of stuff, set plans, which is absolutely great by me. I like not having that. But at the same time, if you're not careful, you fall into the same rut of doing exactly the same thing. So you do need to go out and have a look what else is out there. As I say, whether it's going to another store or just getting a few different ideas. I do find, whether it's Pinterest or whatever, some of those store shop fronts give you some great ideas.
Or when we go on vacation and we just go to other stores and see different other states.
Yeah.
Like just even just like random displays, like in Vegas in the hotels, like the Bellagio, just stuff like that. Just random stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be another store or just things from a store. It's just everywhere. Everywhere.
I love that.
Your mind, I guess.
Just keeping your mind open as well.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong either.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a different style. And my style might not be everybody else's choice.
Yeah.
But our job is to make sure that whatever we get in is...
But it's worked out.
Yeah. It has a great flow. And I don't know. I want everybody to come. My main thing, as I tell the staff here, if they can help tidy the store when we're not here, keep it tidy. I want every single customer to come in like it's their first visit to the store. So I want them to come in and go, wow, it looks really great in here. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to go away with a negative view of the store. I want them to always come in and go, oh my gosh, that was a really nice experience. I love it. I could want to go back there and shop. So if you've done that, you've done a good job. That's my main thing.
Well, I can tell you did it for me. And that takes a lot. My last question is, now that the show season is done, pre-holiday, when and are you going on some type of vacation?
Good question. You've got one coming up.
Yeah, well, it's not really
weekends.
It's long weekends. I got wedding stuff going on. Well, so do you.
Yeah. So next year, but
yeah.
No, we normally try to take our holidays in the summer. Mm-hmm. I was in Europe in May. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went back home in May to England.
So that was before the show season starts.
Yeah. So I did that to get that out of the way. And also there again, it's the quiet time here. So realistically, there isn't much it's just kind of plowing through this fourth quarter now. It just may be a long weekend. Otherwise, there isn't much holiday. As I say, unfortunately for us as well, or however you look at it, this is the busiest time for us, going into the busiest time. Not only is it holiday, we're a mile away from the, I call it the TCP, but it's not that anymore. The Phoenix Open. It's just a mile up the road. So that's January, February time. We have all the events. All the snowbirds start coming back into town. So this is the time when we can start having some fun with everybody again.
You both work, because, you'd said it and I meant to touch on it earlier, that you both work on the store floor as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. That was always, I don't now, but that was always my favorite part of Anthro, is that, once the store opened, we still continued to do our jobs, but we were extra store support. And I felt like I sold actually more when I was there merchandising. Same thing, because that philosophy is energy creates energy. So you're over there doing something and you're creating this, like, what are you doing? Can you help me with this? And I don't think I could sell if I was just placed on a sales floor as a salesperson and not to do something, because it's like almost like I don't know what to do. But it was always my favorite time, it was fourth quarter when we became store support as well to the store. So I love hearing that you both are store support because that speaks volumes.
Yes, we can do the add-ons. We can make that sale complete for people.
Yeah.
We know our product. We've got pretty good memories of what we have up in the stock rooms. We know our inventory because it's mostly two of us. When the stuff comes in, we're the ones who unpack it. We tag it. We tag every single.
Oh, you're both the receiving team as well?
Everything. She enters everything. Yep. We retag it. We get rid of the cardboard boxes at the end of the day. And we also do the wine buying and also all the drinks and the snacks as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Of the store. Yeah. Yeah. Everything. Cigarettes. Everything. Actually, everything that you see in the store, except for the restaurant and the food, me and Carole are in charge of.
Wow. That is incredible. I had no idea. Like, so you guys are really not just gift buyers. You are also
good bussers as well. We are bussing tables as well. Yeah.
Gosh. Yes. Thank you both so much for spending this time with me. I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you, I can tell with the boxes behind you. You obviously now that I know you're processing your own shipments, you've got processing to do, but thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us.